All right, welcome to Founders Drive. This is a video I want to do where it's just, real, raw experience and no edits, no fluff, just the truth. And in today's video, the topic I wanted to discuss is the raw reality and the raw experiences of building a multi-seven-figure agency from scratch, and what it's like to really be a seven-figure plus CEO for an agency. Now, just to give you context so you know what I mean when I say agency, I'm the founder of GoFunnels, okay? And we have launched over 2,000 plus funnels, automations, and AI infrastructures for over 300 plus clients. Big clients, small clients, clients doing 30K a month, clients doing $1 million a month, and much more. So it's a very wide range. Now, when I say agency, I'm not the typical lead generation agency that you might be familiar with here on YouTube. We are more of a fulfillment agency, okay? Or more importantly, how I like to describe ourselves is we are a CIO, a Chief Infrastructure Officer. We come into your business, we do everything from map out what your ecosystem and technology and automations and funnels and AI should look like. We design all of them, we build them out, and we maintain them for you. So it's a full package. So that's what I mean now when I say agency. And as you can already assume, we have scaled that to 7 figures plus. Okay, so that's 6 figures a month. Basically, if you want to be a $1 million a year business, you need to do 83,000 a month minimum. We are doing, in the hundreds plus, okay, per month. Now, I want to go over 5 realities about being a 7-figure CEO. A lot of the time people think when you reach a certain level, things become easy, life is easy, you're floating and there's no issues anymore, and that life is good. But the reality is there is a lot of problems still. And sometimes the problems are bigger than when you were just getting started. So I'll walk through what these 5 are right now. And hopefully by the end of this video, you are able to understand or see that scaling a business has work. There is work in it. It's not easy. It's not fun and games. Yes, there are good parts in it, and we'll get into that. But the raw reality is that there is still trials, tribulations, and problems that just come with scaling a business. But I don't want to scare you. I want to go through what 5 of these look like, but there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And for every con or for every problem, there is either a solution or there is good behind it. So with that being said, let's kind of jump into what the first one is. And the first reality is that money does not equal peace. So what do I mean by that? You think that, once you do your 6-figure month or you're doing 7 figures plus a year, many people think, I can finally relax. Things are going to be easy. Things are going to be good. But the truth is your problems, they get more expensive, more complex, and less forgiving. And that's just the truth. The stress, it doesn't disappear. It just evolves. It gets bigger, or it gets more complex. And I'll give you an example. If you're doing 20K a month, you might be a one-man band, you might have 2-3 team members, maybe just a handful of clients, for example. So it's not that stressful. You're making enough to have good margins, not too many clients to worry about. Now imagine you're doing, imagine you have 50 clients imagine you have 50 team members like we do, right? 50. And you're servicing, 200, 300 plus clients. Oof, imagine the stress there, huh? You have the payroll to think about. So 50 team members, that's 50 families, through the grace of God that you are taking care of and feeding. You have to make sure you're making enough money every month to put food on the table for yourself and for these families. And then your clients, you have, hundreds of clients. You got to keep them all happy. There's a lot of churn. If you're churning 5% of 100 clients is a lot more than 5% of 10 clients, for example. So again, that comes with its stress and its trials and tribulations. And then it's also you're just responsible for more, right? When you're a founder and you're just getting started, you're doing 10, 20K a month, you're probably wearing a lot of the same, you're probably wearing a lot of the hats in the business. You're doing the sales, you're doing the marketing, you're doing the customer success. And actually, yes, it's taking up more of your time. But what happens is when you get a big team, you kind of have to put yourself out of it, but your time is still taken up on bigger things, bigger problems that you need to solve on the team, on the issues. So it's not like, oh, I'm going to scale and reach a certain point and, my life's going to be good. Yes, you will get more free time. Yes, you will have team members doing things for you. Yes, you will have more money in the bank, but it still comes with its problems. Money does not equal peace. As long as you understand that it is always going to be a sort of striving and struggle, but also reward, then you'll be fine, right? As long as you are excited to scale, excited to grow team, excited to have bigger payroll, excited to have more clients, it will be the same as what you're experiencing, whether you're doing 10 or 20K a month. It'll just be at a larger scale, but there'll also be more people to help you with the problems. You're not going to be a one-man band anymore. So that's kind of like my first point I wanted to talk about. And that is, that money does not equal peace, especially once you're making money. And I think also a really good point before I move on to my next reality is you need to know why you want to make that money. Okay, is it to take care of your family? Is it to create jobs? Is it to create opportunities? Okay, if it's just to buy the fancy Lamborghini or the Rolls Royce or have the best house, then once you reach that point and you've bought all that, there's nothing left. You have already hit your goal, you've hit your target, and there's nothing left to achieve anymore. So it's very important you understand, okay, why am I doing this? Am I being an entrepreneur and entering the world of business to help my family? Okay, fine. What about teammates? Am I trying to scale my team and feed 50 plus people? I'm a believer that an entrepreneur, they should be always trying to have a bigger team, scale a team, and be a source for good in the world. That's my opinion. So that's why I don't mind having 50 plus team members and hopefully one day hundreds of team members and feeding 100 families and taking care of them and building this machine. That is what I see in scaling, not making millions a month, even though that is the goal for the next 3 years, to hit $1 million a month in revenue. That's not what excites me. What excites me is the team. And that brings me to a very good second reality, and that is that team is greater than talent. Now, what do I mean by that? The only way to scale is through people. And I know AI is there making life easy and optimizing, and yes, that is going to definitely play a part. But at the end of the day, companies are about people. What is a company? A company is a group of people, right? An organization is a group of people, and people are what make a company, and people are what drive and push a company and build the systems, the SOPs, and the processes around a company. So scaling means letting go of control. You need to be comfortable with letting go of control. And I know this is an issue for a lot of entrepreneurs. I know people personally who they're scaling, they're reaching a point where they need to hire a new salesman or they need to hire a new operations manager, but they just, for the life of them, can't let that member do his job because they think they're not going to do it to the best of their ability, or they can't do it the same way that the entrepreneur would do it. And that is a mistake. And actually what happens is there comes a point where if you have that mentality, you're actually the reason your business is not scaling because you're holding it back. You're the bottleneck. So you need to understand that people solve problems and that people can do what you want them to do. And they can do things the same way you're doing it, or sometimes even better. And also, just because they're not doing it the exact same way you want them to do it doesn't mean they will not achieve the final outcome. Just because you have one way of closing someone doesn't mean that's the only way. Maybe your sales guy has a better way of doing it that you don't know, but he's getting the results, So you got to be able to let go and take a step back and allow the people to do their job and run the different parts. And what that means is you're no longer managing the clients, and you're no longer thinking and managing about or managing the product and the offer. Now you're managing people, and that is essentially what a CEO is, what an entrepreneur is. An entrepreneur is someone who manages people at the end of the day. You have people who are coming up with ideas, who are closing clients, who are giving the customer success. You're overseeing all that. Now you're not managing the product you're managing the people who manage these things, the product, the customers, the sales, the operations, the development, the research and development, the marketing. That's what your role turns into. And then also there's the downside of that, right? There is the fact that there will be people in your team that you end up firing or letting go. And it's unfortunate, but every business will have to go through that. You will have to go through the kind of the arc of being able to fire someone. It's part of the story. And letting people go is hard because, it's a family that you could have been helping. But if they are going to ruin the team, ruin the culture, and make you move 2 steps backwards, you have to get rid of them. You have to get rid of them. Another reality, so that's kind of reality number 3, is you can't hide behind busy work anymore. And what I mean by that is, when you're the CEO, nobody's coming to save you, right? You either lead or you lose. And when I say you can't hide behind the busy work anymore, what I mean is you can't afford to still be in the trenches, okay? Yes, maybe if you were doing 10, 20K a month, you can still be in the trenches, hiding behind the trenches, getting work done, making excuses. Oh, I'll close that guy later, or I'll finish that guy later because I'm busy doing this guy at the moment. No, you need to come out of the trenches and you need to see, the war zone. You need to see the board, the game, and see where the other trenches are and who's in there and managing team here and there. And you need to be able to be a leader. Because what happens is when you reach 7 figures, you're a leader and your team will look up to you and they will mimic you. If you want the culture to be what you are, if you want the culture to be, focused, hardworking, ethical, you need to have those characteristics. Okay, you cannot expect your team to be what you are not. You have to be the leader, you have to lead by example. And you can't do that if you're in the trenches, worrying about whether the client got the deliverables or not. You need to be out building the company, building the culture, building the team, and getting the right team members, like I said, to take on those other smaller responsibilities, where you focus on the bigger problems and the bigger issues to scale and to keep your company moving the right direction. That moves me over to reality number 4, and that is growth comes in seasons, not in straight lines. What do I mean by that? A business's growth is not linear. It's not going to be like that. Most of the time you will see it's exponential actually. It starts like this, and then, so people who've made like 10 million in their career, 30 million in their career, literally the biggest chunk of that money came in like the last 2, 3, 4 years. Whereas the beginning 10 years was so slow. And that's the truth with business, right? It comes in peaks and troughs. It comes in waves. The truth is, there are months where you will have booming periods and you think the sky's the limit and that, we're going to hit 1 million a month this year. And then all of a sudden the season comes or the quarter comes, everything comes crashing down. And it's nothing to do with your ads. The same ads that were working before aren't working anymore. The same lead gen strategies, the appointment setters, everything is good, but there's no scaling. And that's just how the market is, right? There are peaks and troughs, there are booms and busts, there are droughts, and there are wins. So, there's cash flow coming in 1 month or 1 quarter, and then it's a bit tighter the next. And that's perfectly normal. And yes, the seasons can also be a much longer period of time. For example, you could be in a booming season or a scaling season where maybe for 2, 3 years, you're scaling like crazy, and then you hit a still, or you might go down a bit and then go up. So it'll always be, over a long enough period of time, it will always be like a crypto graph or a stock graph, going up, going down, going up, going down. The most important thing though is that you make sure that your lows are always higher lows. So what I mean by that, let's say the first time you're up and then you go down, it's here, and then you go up again and then you go down. You want to make sure that second down is higher than the first down. So now the baseline has come up here, and so on and so forth. It's not easy, but that's kind of how you want to play the game. And you just got to be patient. Patience is a very important weapon at this point, where most people quit in a plateau, even like with weight loss or anything in life. You're trying to do something and it takes long and you hit a plateau. You got to be patient. You got to push through it. It's the same. Okay. And then that brings me to my final point, and that is, you have to rebuild yourself in every level. Okay, I already talked about how you need to be a leader. I already talked about how you need to let go and let the team do what they need to do. Now you need to understand that you need to always evolve as a person. Just as your business is evolving as you scale it and it reaches the different thresholds, you need to evolve as a person. For example, the habits, that got you to 100K a year or 10K a month is not the same habits that will take you to 1 million a year. And sometimes those same habits might sabotage you. I'll give you an example. To scale to 10 million, honestly speaking, you can wake up, at 12 p.m. You can do some calls, 100 calls a day, and then close in the evening, or do more operations in the evening, and then go watch some Netflix, and then go sleep. And you might reach 10K relatively quickly. Okay, 10K a month. But let's say now you're doing 100K a month. Oof, it's a different story. You got to wake up early. You got to hit the gym. You got to be physically fit. You got to be a leader because your team is looking up to you. You got to be able to make sure the amount of clients coming in every month are enough to take care of the payroll. You got to, there's the business. You cannot scale your business if you do not scale you. Let's just put it that way. So your mentality has to shift. Your mindset has to shift. How you think about money has to shift. How you think about growth has to shift. Your mission in life has to shift. Right? It's no longer about getting the fancy cars. It's about what can I do to create change and purpose in this life. So sometimes that means saying no to things that you used to say yes to. And that could also be with your offer with your clients. I'll give you a very good point that I like to make all the time is, as you grow, you need to be saying no more, especially to these sales calls and these potential leads. In the beginning, you want to take on all the work because you're trying to scale, trying to take on things, see what you're good at. But once you know what you're doing and you reach a certain level, you got to learn to say no. Why? Because you got to say no to make space for the people that you will say yes to. You can't max out your capacity with everyone and anyone. You got to take on the people who are right for your business. So you have to rebuild yourself in every level, and that includes the systems you follow, the routines you do every day, and even your mindset must evolve and constantly. So that's about it for these 5 pointers I had. These are the raw realities of being a 7-figure CEO and growing a 7-figure agency. And if any of that hit, let me know in the comments. Let me know if you kind of empathize with any of these points or have gone through that. And this is just a quick one. I wanted to release a quick raw, no fluff video. If you have any other topics you'd like me to talk about in my experience, put it down in the comments below. I would love to check them out. I will read all the comments and I will make another video based off of that. But with that being said, it was a pleasure, and I will see you guys in the next Founders Drive. See ya.